Hello, IAG class. Unfortunately, we're not going to be in school today, but we're going to still talk about parallelograms. So let's just jump right in with your 5.2 notes. And the target says I can apply properties of quadrilaterals to solve problems. So there's so many different quadrilaterals. This lesson is going to take multiple days, but today we're only going to look at one quadrilateral, and that is the parallelogram. So we're going to start by reviewing the definition from target 5.1, which says a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides parallel. So we've already used that over a couple days of target 5.1, and now we're going to explore even further into the world of parallelograms. So there are 5 properties of parallelograms, and the first one is the definition that we just talked about. And so we'll just write it down again. Both pairs opposite sides, and we'll use the parallel symbol. And then remember, opposite just means across from each other. And then for each property, we'll go ahead and draw a picture to go with it. And we will make sure to put tick marks on the picture. Next property says both pairs opposite sides congruent. And so we will put our parallelogram and we'll put the tick marks to show congruent sides. So these are all true facts about parallelograms. Next, we're going to say both pairs opposite angles congruent. So we'll draw a parallelogram and then we'll put tick marks on the opposite angles to show which angles are congruent. Next property, consecutive. Remember, consecutive means next to each other. Angles are supplementary, which means they add up to 180. So we don't have tick marks for supplementary, so we're going to do this a different way. I hope you like it. So we're just going to give ourselves a reminder. I'm going to zoom in so we can see it better. So angle A plus angle B equals 180 degrees. Angle B plus angle C equals 180 degrees. Angle C plus angle D equals 180 degrees. And guess what? Angle D plus angle A equals 180 degrees. So all the consecutive angles are supplementary. And our last property, diagonals bisect each other. And so let's draw a parallelogram. The diagonals are the segments that connect opposite angles. And so we know the word bisect from a couple different units in semester 1. And bisect each other means cut in half into congruent segments. So there's the result of diagonals bisect each other. All right, now this next picture is on your yellow packet. And so you already have this all labeled. So technically, you could skip this part if you wanted to. You could fast forward. Or if you want the practice just to help see all the properties in at once, you can do that. So this is going to be given to you. So I'm not going to try to make the colors match because that'd be too hard. So I'm just going to jump in and say, okay, so both pairs opposite sides parallel. That was our first property. Next was both pairs opposite sides congruent. So we'll put those tick marks. We have both pairs opposite angles congruent. So we'll label that. We don't have tick marks for The consecutive angle is supplementary, so I'm not going to put anything for that. For the diagonals bisect each other, I need to make sure I use different tick marks than we used earlier, so I'll use those. And so you might think that's all, but there's actually more properties if we go back to semester 1 and remember things that we learned with parallel lines. So remember we learned parallel lines have alternate interior angles congruent. And so for example, this angle is congruent to that angle. Let's make a heart is congruent to a heart. We did a star, we did a heart. Let's go ahead and do a smiley face is congruent to a smiley face. And then we're running out of symbols here, so we could just do a dot is congruent to a dot. And then you know from a long time ago, vertical angles are congruent. And so we can even put some tick marks on the vertical angles too. And the other thing you still might see and use is that we have lots of triangles in this picture, and we know the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So you might be using that as well. So this is going to be given to you on the formative and the test and the final exam. So make sure to look for this picture on your yellow packet. All right, let's do a little practice. And so I would always start by just labeling the given information. Well, maybe I can use different colors. We'll see if that works out. So DE is 74 millimeters. DG is 31 millimeters. And if you don't write the millimeters, that's okay. And angle FCD is 42 degrees. Okay, so now what I want you to do is have your yellow packet in front of you, and so that you can see this picture while we're doing the problems. And so I'm going to zoom in, and then you can have your yellow packet in front of you. And the order we do these doesn't matter, but I'm looking at my packet. I do know that we have both pairs opposite sides congruent, and so if DE is 74, I know that CF is also 74 millimeters. On your yellow packet, you're going to see, what color, that the diagonals bisect each other. So those two are congruent. So that, actually here's, maybe as we talk about it, it'll be easier to do it like this. So that means that GF is also 31 millimeters. But notice it's asking for DF. So for DF, we have to do 31 plus 31 to get 62 millimeters. And notice on your yellow sheet, we do have the opposite angles congruent. So this angle is 42. And wait, let me double check what it's asking for. It's asking for EFC. Okay, so this is the one thing that we don't have tick marks for. This is where we're going to say consecutive angles are sup. Because here's the thing. Here, I'll do this. We're looking for this angle, but they're asking for that angle there. So the consecutive angles are supplementary. So we have to do 180 minus 42. And that will give us the answer of 138. And if you want to put degrees, you can. If you don't, that's okay too. All right. I love this next picture because the basketball hoop looks great, but it's a little tough to see and to label. So just hang in there for this one. Let's label LM, 28 inches. LN is 26 inches. So that's a little tough to label. So I'm even going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to take the 26 and just cut it in half right away because I know the diagonals bisect each other. So that's just easier for me to see. Maybe you like it that way too. And then it says angle LKN is 74 degrees. So the entire angle down there, 74. So now let's see what it's asking for. So it wants KN. So just like the last problem, opposite sides congruent. So KN is 28. It wants segment LO. Well, if you look at your picture, we already have that number written down, and that's 13. And now it wants angle NML. So here we can see those are opposite angles, and we know the opposite angles are congruent. And so this one will be the exact same, 74 degrees. Maybe I'll label it. It's okay if you don't label it on there, but I just will. Okay. Next, let's take a look at some algebra, because everybody loves algebra. And then there's not a correct order. You can do the angles first, you can do the segments first, whatever makes you happiest. So we can see right away that the opposite sides are congruent. So 8a minus 4 equals 6a plus 10. So we're going to solve the equation minus 6a on both sides. And so 2a minus 4 equals 10 plus 4 on both sides. 2a equals 14. Divide by 2. And a equals 7. So we'll go ahead and put the 7 right there. And then while we're working on this problem, it's asking for yz. So here I'm just going to do this to show that these two are connected. So it wants yz. So I'm just going to go right over here. 8 times 7 minus 4. 56 take away 4 is 52. So yz is 52, and it doesn't say inches or centimeters, so that's okay. We don't have to put anything. Okay, and if we look again at our picture here, angle W and angle Z are consecutive angles, so we know those are supplementary. I didn't really give us a lot of room to write, so maybe what I could do, maybe we could move this up a little bit, and then we can write down here 18b minus 11 plus 9b plus 2 equals 180. We are going to combine like terms first. 18 plus 9 is 27b. Negative 11 plus 2 is negative 9. And then we'll do a plus 9. One, 8, 9. And again, we're running out of space. And so we're going to do 189 divided by 27. And we should get b equals 7. Well, that was not expected. So b equals 7. Now it wants angle Z. I'm going to zoom in. So angle Z is right here. So 9 times 7 plus 2. 63 plus 2 for 65. So these two are connected. So 65. And if you want to put degrees, you can. Okay. One more algebra question. And this one is dealing with those diagonals. Here, I'm going to use the same tick marks that we used on the shape earlier in the notes that had all the tick marks. So maybe I can just write right below the picture here. So 4z minus 9 equals 2z. Let's add the 9 to both sides. And so 4z equals 2z plus 9. And so we will subtract the 9 on both sides. I'm just kidding. I think all this cold got to me a little bit. Let's try that again. We're not going to move the 9. We just moved the 9 then. Sorry. Let's try this. Let's subtract the 2z because we need to combine the like terms. All right. Hopefully I'll get a little more sleep tonight. So 2z equals 9, and divide by 2. And so z equals 4.5. I think there's a place to write that down. And now let's see what it's asking for. J, G, nope. F, H, yes. So these two are connected there. And so there's not one correct way to do this, but let's try it this way. Fj equals 4 times 4.5 minus 9. So use your calculator for that. Let's see, 18 minus 9 is 9. And then JH. And now, now technically I don't have to do the next part. I know that this should come out to 9. If this next one doesn't come out to 9, I did make a mistake. But luckily, we figured it out. We're good. And so that means that FH is 9 plus 9, which is 18. So we could even put the 9 and the 9 if you want to. All right, now we need to find W. 3W equals W plus 8. So minus W on both sides. 2W equals 8. Divide by 2. And W equals 4. And then they want JG. Well, JG is just W plus 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. And if I want to check my work, 3 times 4 is 12. So I know everything worked out. So those two go together. All right, that was fun. You're going to get some more practice with this over the next couple of days. All right, now we've done lots and lots of work on the coordinate plane. So take a second and just plot those 3 points, GRAM for gram. But we only have 3 of the points. Now one thing is, when we give you the order, when we give you the name, it says GRAM. So that's the order. So that means that so point M is going to be somewhere over here. Okay, GRAM. They have to go around like this to make our shape. So, so there's 2 sides, but I can't finish graphing it until I find the coordinates of M. So we do know from a parallelogram that both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. And so here's 2 ways that you can solve this problem. So remember that parallel lines have the same slope. So I'm going to take point G, 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 4, right 1. And so that means that segment AM has to have that same slope. Now what you technically could do is, if you really wanted to, you could zoom in and we could copy and paste, but I'm just going to draw it separately. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll switch colors so we can see it. So as long as I have the same rise and the same run, then boom, boom. And so there's a perfect parallelogram. So let me answer the question before I forget. So the coordinates of M are 5, 2. Now if I wanted to check my work, or I could have done it this way instead, I could have used the slope of RA. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could have done that from G. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 and 5, and I get the exact same point M. So I did it one way and I checked it, and you could have done it the other way and check it. So you never have to get one of these wrong, because you know that parallel lines have the same slope. All right, I know this video has already gotten a little bit long, so we can skip over the last one. Well, maybe we shouldn't. So what I'm going to suggest you pause the video and then put the tick marks yourself, and then you can press play again and check your answer. I guess let's do it that way. So So try these out, and you can use your yellow packet, and then pause the video, and then when you're ready to check your answers, you can check them there. So go ahead and pause it, and I'll see you soon. All right, I hope that you have 2 pairs opposite sides congruent, and I hope you have 2 pairs opposite angles congruent. And that's it for the first one. Now over here, we technically have the same tick marks, 2 pairs opposite sides congruent. We have the 2 pairs opposite angles congruent, but we also have diagonals bisect each other. And this is where I'm gonna forget all the different shapes and symbols. So star and star, heart and heart, and I think there's a smiley face somewhere, a dot and a dot, and then I think we did double dot, slashy, slashy. So that's a lot of segments and a lot of angles that are congruent to each other. All right, so we do have lots more days to practice with this, but make sure you know where everything is on the yellow packet, and make sure you do the homework each night to keep up with the practice, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.